All right, guys, and welcome to the Let's Talk HR show with myself, Jack Nolan, and my special guest today, Jack Robertson. So, Jack, what does HR mean to you?
So HR for me, I guess it's a bit of a hard question really because HR sort of dips into so many different things. And I think for me, and the reason why I fell in love with it is how much it can actually change people's lives. You know, and I saw that firsthand, and I've seen that growing up with my mum and dad working in businesses and being involved in those businesses and seeing what HR does. You know, it's one of those jobs where it's so rewarding and you give back to people, you give back to the employer, you build that bridge between employment and employee, you make sure people are okay, working productively, that the business runs smoothly. So I think it's the heartbeat of a business, and that's how I feel about it. It really is the heartbeat of a business. And working now, coming up to 5 years as a HR professional within a HR role across two different businesses in completely different sectors, it's the same wherever you go. You know, a strong fundamental HR department really is the heartbeat of a business.
That's top, Jack, and I couldn't agree with you more there. That the heartbeat of the business. That's a metaphor that we've not heard on the show so far. So I'm going to give you that one there, mate. It's a great analogy to sort of express how HR is the heartbeat of the community and the family within a workforce. Because I believe that colleagues become like your second family,
Yeah,
and
very much.
because you spend a lot of time at work, and when I spent time in like the creative sector working with people like Sky, for example, you do form close bonds and relationships with people, and it's like it's if someone's not their best, it can affect the whole team, and you've
Yeah,
got to be able to be the leader in that environment to be able to say, look, let's pull you to the side, let's coach you, let's mentor you, let's give you the tools that you need to get back on track, so the morale can be stay up there within that ecosystem, within the environment of work. So again,
that,
couldn't agree with you more.
I do. It is so vitally important to have, you know, a strong fundamental part of HR. You know, you all have your own roles, you know what you're doing. And I've gone through CIPD level 5, and even then, the in-depthness of all the different processes and how sort of it leads from one thing to another. It's never A to B, it's always A to Z. You've got to look at the full 360 view of every situation because everything has a knock-on effect. And in a position in HR, you can see that knock-on effect happen across the business. It's like a ripple. So you need to ensure that that ripple is a positive one.
Yeah.
If that is, and you need to make sure that, you know, every action has a reaction and that reaction is going to be the right thing.
Yeah, and it's got to be a positive reaction, like you said, you know what I mean? Because if there's loads of negativity going on and the culture starting to fall apart, that can have a massive effect on the company as well. Not just on the individuals, but the mission where the company's going, the direction, you know what I mean? That's got to be all, all involved in one, you know what I mean? Like one solid unit, like the 300 Spartans, you know what I mean? And then 300
Yeah,
Spartans did all right, you know what I mean?
I
So,
know.
yeah.
Yeah,
So like, you gotta give that mindset, that focus, that drive, that ability, that there's growth potential there for everyone to become the best version of themselves. You know what I mean? So again, moving on to which moves nicely onto my next question. What inspired and influenced you to work within HR?
again, I mean, for me, it was from a young age. I made the decision from when I was about 12, 13 that I wanted to do HR. So I've been gunning from it for a long, long time. Like I mentioned earlier, my mum and dad work within businesses and have done since I was a little kid. And I've been fortunate enough to live in Australia as well as live in England. So I've seen two different kinds of workplaces. I've also worked in Australia as well. So I worked in an admin role, worked within an office, saw how that worked, the same back here. So for me, one, I love people. Two, I'm a bit of a sado and I love a process. Three, I like helping people and I like bettering businesses as well. So it was the ideal thing for me, and I've not looked back ever since. You know, I started when I was 17, just turning 18, and I'm now 22 and I still love it from the first day I started. So for me, it's something that I live and breathe, really. It's all the things that I love doing in life in a job.
That's fantastic, and you couldn't get a better fit for you really if you were self-aware at a young age, knowing that you wanted to engage with people, you wanted to help people with their personal growth, see them develop, push them forward, as well as pushing yourself. Because again, as a HR leader, you've got to be self-motivated, you've got to be driven, you've got to be ambitious, and you've got to be empathetic most of all, to be able to connect with people and push them in that right direction and give them that support. And for you to be self-aware at such a young age is massive. It's like the reason why you are where you are today is because you've had that acute self-awareness and that advantage over, everybody in that competitive workplace, who's trying to go for roles what you're actually living and breathing,
Yeah.
So really a positive quality to have, Jack. Honestly, I take me off to you there, pal. So keep going in that direction that you're going in. Honestly, like I can see you've touch.
I've tried to sort of steer it in the direction I want it to go, and obviously COVID's been quite hard, and I was doing my level 5 CIPD through that. But for me, I've just started with a law firm recently in the past 3 months, and it's just completely changed my outview and bettered my skill set. They're a fantastic place to be, people to work for and with. I'm just given now all the opportunities that I've been waiting for, really. So it's great for me. I'm finally feeling like I'm doing the next step in my career of becoming, top dog in the HR world, which is what I'm aiming for. You got to wait
for the grow 100%.
Right for the top,
yeah,
top.
Man, I love it, mate. So that you more or less answered my next question with where I was going to say, why did you choose to work for the current organisation that you're in? But if you see that as an opportunity to grow and to become the best you can be, and to rise to the top, with the ambition that you've got and that empathy, caring, and understanding with people, and then people skills you do have. That's amazing. Like, I feel like you've already answered that question, so I'm going to jump straight onto the next one, really, because I feel like you've covered it a lot with what you said about realising, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's great, honestly. So here's my next question. How important is mental and emotional well-being within the workforce?
It's key, really. I feel like it's the cog that turns the wheel. If you've got someone there, or a group of people, a team, whatever it may be, who are struggling mental health wise, and the same physically, we see this a lot. And I think with lockdown as well, coming out this end, people have come out with a lot more problems, issues going on in their life, personally, and with work, coming back into work, anxiety, stress, all that sort of stuff. And as a HR professional, I think it's so important to get the right balance of, okay, this is your work and what you need to do, and this is what we can do to be reasonable as an employer and make it okay for you to be here and make it feel safe, make you want to work and be productive. So getting that element right, and it's a very, very fine line of, focusing on mental health and making sure it's done correctly, and you approach every situation so specifically. They're not the same. They never will be. That's how you get a well-oiled, well-working workforce, and making sure everyone's on the same page, working for that mission statement and driving the business forward. So for me, being in HR, it's one of the massive cogs that, keeps on turning, keeps everything going. And for me, because I've got myself ADHD, and for me, that's something that I've had to deal with personally, and I manage with it. The same with my dad. He struggles with bipolar and ADHD, so he's having to deal with all that sort of stuff as well whilst working at the same time. It's not easy. And again, every situation's different. What you might find hard, someone might find easy, and vice versa. So it's just being empathetic, reviewing the situation, and making sure you do things properly and by the book. So it is so vital, so vital.
You're right, Jack. Like, I totally have a lot of empathy to yourself and to your father. You just mentioned bipolar there. That is one of the challenges that I face with on a daily as well. So I can totally understand, like, the struggles, the trying to get out of bed in the morning, that fight with your thoughts, that fight with your body, to get yourself going, to get yourself pushed up and ready to take on the day. You know what I mean? I've got a friend who had ADHD, and I don't understand it as much as yourself because you're living it. Because as much as you can't understand what your dad are probably going through, you know what I mean? But you see the outside, You know what I mean? You see that how it's affects them in all different ways. So I really applaud, you know, yourself and your father for that, you know what I mean, for being the spearhead in their organizations and driving forward to make not just themselves better, but everybody else around them better. You know what I mean? Like, it's massively important.
No, I always like to think of, you're labelled with a mental illness or a mental health condition, and you feel like it's, you know, a big ball and chain on your ankle. You're embarrassed to tell people, you're embarrassed to mention it to your employer and stuff like that. And, you know, I have been shot down before when I have told people, you know, within my friend group when I did find out, and the same with my dad when I was younger, you know, trying to explain to someone why they are like the way they are. They don't understand because, like, as you said, they don't live it. However, I think it's a superpower where I don't run out of energy. I don't. I'm always very happy and I'm very focused, only because I have done the right things to see, right, I'm not as good as at concentrating and sitting down and doing one task, but what can I do to sort of develop on that and make it work to my advantage? Let's make the ADHD be my friend and push the strengths. And it's the same with my father as well. You know, the bipolar and ADHD really did grip him for a long time, but he's now found in a way where he benefits from it. He draws his strengths out of this mental illness and puts it into his work, puts it into his life to drive him forward. And, you know, I think you need to find those little key things in people, because when you talk about it, it's a very negative conversation, you know, and someone can be talking about, I have this mental illness, I have that mental illness, and it affects me like this. But what makes you different? What makes you stand out? Why are you good at what you do? Is it linked with the mental illness? And you know, look at it as a good thing. It just makes you different. You're not weird, you're not strange, you're not out of the ordinary. Let's see how we can make it work and make it work for you. So again, another massive journey for me since starting in HR is just sort of gaining this wealth of knowledge from all the amazing people I've worked with, I've spoken to, live with, you know, so yeah, it's all been a good journey for me to understand and be better in my role.
You're absolutely bang on, mate. I've got no more words to say other than bang on. Seriously, I think you've given so much value there just answering that question and that chat about mental health, because you know what? When people listen to this, I know they're going to take away a lot from what you just said, and they'll go, you know what, that Jack Robertson, I'm checking him out. You know what I mean? I seriously think, you know, you've got quality in what you're saying there. Like, you real talk, real life experience. You know what I mean? You've lived it, and you're turning your own disadvantages into your advantage. You know what I mean? Yeah. Massive superpower, like you said. Like, I wish I had all the energy in the world like yourself, mate. You know, honestly, I'm a little bit opposite with my bipolar. I start to get a bit knackered and that. But then I little moments of mania, and I'm like fucking all over the place. So 100%, mate. Like, you know, it's sick, honestly. And if you're in control of that, why not use it as a superpower? So congratulations, bro. And moving next on to my next question, which followed nicely, is what strategies have you found beneficial to support your employees' well-being and development?
I think it's very, very, very important. And, you know, it's one of those, it's a bit cheesy and everyone knows this, is to listen. You know, listen, review. And you have to look, as I mentioned, at every situation as its own. It's very hard to relate and go, oh, well, you know, Billy Bob over there had this issue, and then that person over there had this issue. They can be the same. We can resolve it for the same thing. It doesn't always work. So I think to draw the best solutions, that needs to come from that person. You know, let's see what they need from us as an employer, and then work with that. Let's mold it. Is it something reasonable that we can do and manage? Is it something that we can implement? Is it something that we can do to their job role? Is there somewhere else they could go? Whatever it may be. But it's so, so important to listen, because they're the people who are living it. They're the people who are going through these things. And it's also about being patient. It's not an overnight fix. And a lot of people, I think, from the employee side, think it will be an overnight fix. And you need to make that very clear and keep that level of support, keep the contact there, keep the communication, let them know that the door's open. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for in HR, is to make the workplace better, not just the employee, but also the employer. And for that to work, it all needs to come together in harmony. And, you know, it's one of the many, many, many tools on a HR person's utility belt of just being there and letting them know, okay, well, let's just drop them an email. We've not spoken in a few days. How are you doing? Is your day going okay? And letting them open up to you. And sometimes they don't want to, which is fine. You still keep that same level of communication, listening, being there for them, even if it's just a reminder. So I think as an employer, that is so key to resolve situations. And sometimes, unfortunately, they can't be resolved. You know, it is a two-way street. It's got to be just as much input from the employee as it is the employer. However, you can make it better, and you can always, always, always try. So yeah, I think it's key to listen, be patient, and keep on pecking their heads. That is it. That is really. And you know, I've done my fair share of, you know, hard conversations and sort of being involved within the processes and stuff like that are surrounding these changes and what needs to be done, issues with an employee. But all in all, in my experience, they've come out the other side better than when they started, because it has been that clear communication and letting them know that it's okay. It's all right to feel how you're feeling. It's not out of the ordinary. You're not a weirdo and everyone else is thinking fine. You're allowed to think like that, and you are human. And I think a lot of people forget that. You're allowed to have a down day. You're allowed to struggle. That is absolutely fine, because we all, but if you voice it and you talk to your employer, your HR department, your line manager, your colleagues, your friends, your family, whatever it is, a problem shared is a problem halved. And I think that's something massive that people do need to keep in mind, because it really does make you feel better when you take that weight off your shoulders.
You're right, Jack. And I think a lot of people don't really realise that when they are struggling, that's when they're reaching their potential. You know, they're operating at a high level, that they're experiencing stress, and it's like, how do I manage this stress now? I'm operating at a high level, and it's like it needs that's what that's what I can't get my words out. That's what makes a winner. So I think, you know, if you let your, you know, colleagues know that, listen, you are a winner, and right now you are flying at an altitude that's higher than you normally would. So let's just maybe alter that altitude just a little bit, so you can stay consistent at being productive and making things happen within the business and moving the things forward. So, you know, that's a little nugget for you there, mate. If it brings value to you as much as you've been bringing to me, mate, honestly.
I mean, for me at my current employer, they're very much big on telling you that you've done a good job.
Yeah.
You know, I've been there for 3 months, and I've experienced myself many, many times of being told by my line managers, by my colleagues as well, you're doing amazing, you're fantastic. And it builds you up. You need that. You need that have to go on. And especially when it's been a hard day and it's been stressful, it's been long, and someone says to you, you've been brilliant today, thank you for all your hard work. It just makes the day for you. And I've been running with it. I've been telling people when I've seen it, again with my colleagues and my line managers, because, you know, managers don't get enough credit. They you know, it's very much there at the top, feeding the information down, feeding the work down. They deserve it as well. They deserve the praise. But no, my current employer is so fantastic at really recognising good, hard-working people.
That's brilliant. It builds that self-esteem as well, and that drive as well for you to, I'm going to do better the next day. You know what I mean? I know it's all these small little things, but them small things add up, and it makes you feel like you've got worth as well. You know what I mean? And it just builds up into that big box of like high self-esteem, and that's what we need. You know what I mean? And it affects your mental health in a positive way. You know what I mean? It makes you think, actually, I'm good at what I do. You know what I mean? And that's all we need. Sometimes is that a little nudge to say, well done. You know what I mean? That quite a whisper to say on the side, listen, Jack, smashing it, mate. You're a champion. You know what I mean? Even like I said, colleague, peer support from each other, it's massive. It goes a long way, because it's that recognition that we all need when we are putting in the work. Sorry, Jack, I'm just chatting away now. We are.
No, I mean, even little things. You know, I'm very big on wishing people a good weekend at the end of an email, or hope they have a good rest of the day. little things like that, just to sort of go, I'm thinking of that person. I really do hope you have a good day, or I hope you're well. Those little things, saying, how are you? Or new starters, how's it going? Everything okay? Someone who's just come back from holiday. How was your holiday? Noticing these little things and having that ability in HR to be able to pick up on those things.
Yeah.
Engagement, you get them knowing, oh my God, my employer really does care about me and they actually want to know. So again, another thing that I use and I've learned from being in HR to stick on people, because they love it and I love it. I love being able to have those conversations with people and get to know them more.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And like moving on to one of my last questions, and plus, mate, I could speak to you all day, honestly, but I know how time is and everything. So I know you got stuff to sort out soon. So, in your experience, what have you found creates great leadership within your teams?
Clear, effective communication, being honest and calm but assertive. So if something's gone wrong, for example, I've not done something correctly, there's no need for shouting, bellowing, smacking desks and whatnot. It needs to be, and especially for how I take on criticism and information of how to improve and areas to improve, is to be sat down and told. And if that needs to be sternly, then that's fine, I understand. But getting the point across without making me feel this big. So that for me is an effective leader. And as well as that, being human and showing that human side, letting out a bit of emotion, having a laugh, say, I'm not having a good day today. That for me is a fantastic manager, because I think we as humans and people who've been in work for years and years and years sort of see your manager as a manager. You don't see them as a person with a life outside work, that they do things, they struggle with mental health. They'll have bad days. They'll have absolutely amazing days. They're getting pressure from their line managers. That's all sort of things that you forget. And I feel like when you get a manager who will be open and honest with you and show a human side and be a friend and your manager, that's how you get the best out of people, because you do feel like a family. And I think that is such an important thing to grasp, is that family aspect.
Absolutely. Like managers, I suppose they become like the father figures or the mother figures of the whole unit. And they're taking not just your stresses on, but like you said, the pressure from above. It's that middle ground, in it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I've got my shit, you've got yours, but together we're going to get through it. And that's
exactly
what the manager is, who looks after everyone, takes the responsibility, and encourages your responsibility within yourself to be able to be independent. So you're not always going, Joe, can you do this for me? Joe, I'm stuck. Developing that confidence within each employee is massive. You know what I mean?
And I think as well, finding key elements in people as well, seeing for someone as who they are and how they do their role, and pushing them to be the best at what they can do and what they want to do, listening, taking on feedback, bringing it into the team, changing the dynamic, always keeping them on the toes as well. I think that's so important. But, I think it would be, especially at this age, being in HR now 4 to 5 years and seeing many, many different managers from different sectors and of different businesses, there is a change coming, because all I've ever been told is, back in the 90s and the 80s, the managers were like this and that, no. But all I've seen is just fantastic managers wherever I go, and, great people and great leaders who care about the team, not just in work, but outside of work as well, with the personal issues, and they're there to support them on a whole new different level as to what even HR does. So, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I'm taking note for when eventually, and fingers crossed, I do become a manager, that I can implement everything that I've seen into my own team.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that you will get to the top, Jack. Like,
Really.
I'm not just like blowing smoke up your backside and that, but you've got a lot of wisdom on that young head of yours. You know what I mean? And I don't say that as an insult. I'm not saying that you're young. It's good.
No.
As well. And we've got so much time and development to go through. So when that opportunity does arrive for you, you'll be able to step into it, and it won't be luck. It'll be preparation that meeting that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've earned it at that point. So I'm going to wrap it up now towards the end. I just want to say thank you again, Jack. You've been a star.
Thank you.
I could talk to you all day, honestly, and I look forward to possibly having a chat with you again in the future or something.
Absolutely. I'm more than happy to come on. I'll do these as many times as you like. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much. And I just want to say, I absolutely love what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. In that we need, as young people, to see someone driving that mental health and being there and understanding. You know, me and you have chatted many times before, and you've always been fantastic and just so engaging. So thank you. And I really do love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. So on that note, I'm going to end the podcast there. So everyone, I'll see you soon. We see you soon in another podcast soon, no doubt. Take it easy. Have an amazing day. And I'll see you very, very shortly. Take it easy, guys. Thank you for listening.